OneSoccer's off-season coverage of the Canadian Premier League continues. Today we are joined by Pacific FC star Marco Bustos, joining us from Vancouver Island, and of course the usual suspects, OneSoccer's Gareth Wheeler and Oliver Platt. Everyone back home and outside the bubble for almost over a month now. Marco, we'll start with you. What's life like back on the other coast of our country?
Yeah, it's better than it was before, under the circumstances. Right now we're just getting a lot of family time. It's something we missed in our time in the bubble. But it's been good so far, getting time to relax after a pretty a tournament full of grind. So yeah, and then now just getting back into things, training 3 times a week. Now we started last week. So getting that and getting some time in the gym. So it's been good so far.
Ollie and Gareth, you guys aren't taking much time off here. Ollie, I know you're busy at news.onesoccer.ca with all kinds of profiles, wheels, working the telephones, working your insider game with John Herdman and the rest of Canadian soccer. So how has the modified downtime been for you guys? We'll start with you, Wheels.
This sucks. I want to see people in stadiums. Honestly, I want to see things up and running. I want to see a firm schedule. I want to know what's happening like everyone else. So look, we're all just making do right now, right? Typically if this was a normal 2020, we'd be building towards, the Canadian Premier League finals. And instead, the tournament's done. So it sucks where we're at, but we move forward, Adam.
And on that positive note, Ollie, how are you?
Yeah, no, I had for the first time the other day, I kind of had the feeling, I think the Island Games occupied me, obviously, and we were waiting for that all summer. But then the other day, I just kind of thought, it's been a long time since I was in a stadium with fans in it. And, you really miss it when it's been away from you for that long. So, yeah, I would like to be back in, not just back with a season and having sports, but actually having fans in stadiums and those atmospheres we miss.
I got one of those social media reminders of your memories, and it was the Canada versus USA final, the women's Olympic qualifiers, and they hit me too. I was like, wow, it has been a long time since we had live soccer in that environment. Speaking of live soccer, Marco, obviously you guys coming off a very hectic Island game schedule and a very good performance, not only from the team, but yourself specifically. 10 matches played, 5 goals, 3 assists. That's most points in the league, second in the Golden Boot, most shots for you with 11. Overall, how would you rate the performance of you in Pacific FC in Charlottetown?
Yeah, it's first I'll start with team performance. I feel like our coach really brought us together. When you have 20 players playing for the coach, it makes things a lot easier. You don't really see that in many teams, at least the teams I've been in. We really had a good group. Most importantly, off the pitch. I think, when you're together for literally 24/7 for a month and a half, it's never going to be easy. But I felt like we dealt with it really well. We stuck together, and that just shows. We were a tight knit group. I feel like that brought us to the next round. We're a team that we didn't give up till the end, no matter what, and that showed in a pretty much do or die game against Edmonton. And I feel like we have a lot of young players that are hungry, and like I've said before to many people, there's still so much room to improve as well. And it's just looking forward. It's a tournament that wasn't easy at all, and for everyone, we hadn't played for so long, and coming in wasn't easy. First 3-4 games was just really trying to find your rhythm and the chemistry. We hadn't played a game together, and I think it's a big positive that we were able to get to the next round, and obviously let ourselves down in the first 2 playoff games. Obviously we got knocked out after the first 2 games, and that was tough to take, but at the end of the day, you gotta look at more so the positives, in my opinion, and keep growing from there for hopefully a full season next year. And then on
dive into sort of the. No, yeah. Please go ahead.
No, go on. No, you go ahead.
No, I was just going to I wanted you to talk about yourself. That's what I was trying to get to, is segue a little bit into your performance, because it's a team game, and every time any of us had the chance to speak with your teammates or Pamaduka, it was always team, team, team. So you can appreciate the importance of that team, but you also have to be impressed with how your season went as well. Yeah,
just on an individual note, I feel like coming into the tournament, I came in with a lot of confidence. During the off season and during the shutdown with quarantine and all that, it was I stuck to my principles. Working hard every day. Trying to get better, and going into the tournament knowing mentally that I put in the work to be ready for what was coming was satisfying for myself and for my coaches, and just having the belief of my coaches and teammates. That helps a player a lot. And yeah, just I felt like through the tournament I was growing and getting better every game, which is also a positive in tournament style games. And yeah, just like I said, just putting in the work and going into games knowing that you did everything you could to be ready. I think that's a big confidence booster for me.
Okay, I want to go around the horn here and get everyone's reactions to the following statement. Marco, we'll let you stew on it the longest, but I'm going to say this. Kyle Becker should be the MVP of the 2020 Canadian Premier League season. What say you to that statement, everyone? Let's begin with you, Wheels.
By virtue, and I've been clear on this, and this is no disrespect to Marco whatsoever, because he's a flat out baller. But for me, the MVP comes from the player that played on the winning team. And if a championship came Pacific's way, there was no question in my mind that Marco Bustos would be the Canadian Premier League MVP. But by virtue of Forge coming away with the championship year 2, the captain of their team, their best player, for me, it just has to go to Kyle Becker.
Ollie, you saw these guys more than anyone not playing in the CPL. What's your take on that?
Well, this is an individual award, right? So I appreciate Kyle Becker had a fantastic season, and I don't think anyone would complain if he was the winner. But if you look at the best individual player in the league, the player who was most valuable to his team, which is what the award description says, if that was Tristan Borges last year, I don't see how you can make the case that it wasn't Marco Bustos this year. I've got some stats to reel off here. Goals, second in the league. If you take out penalties, he was first. Shots on target, tied first. Assists, first. Chances created from a run of play, first. Dribbles completed, second to Victor Blasco. Touches in the opposition box, first. Like every single attacking category you want to look at, this guy was the leader in the league. And so if Borges was the unanimous choice or almost unanimous choice as MVP, swept up all the awards last year, I don't really see why you would say differently about Marco Bustos.
Well, Borges was on the winning team last year as well. So that obviously helped his cause.
For sure it did. But I think you have a Pacific team that, came from, in terms of difference from 2019 to 2020, you can only say Halifax made a bigger jump forwards, right? They weren't quite a championship team yet. And, it's a team game. But they took a massive jump forward. And individually, in terms of his value to the team, I think you'd be hard pressed to make a case that Marco Bustos wasn't the guy who should get the Player of the Year award.
Marco, where do you stand on this?
Yeah, it's obviously it's a big bonus to win a trophy like that. With X amount of players playing in the league, and a few of us who deserve it or could easily win it. It's like I said, goes back to, at least in my opinion, goes back to, how hard individuals work. I know how hard I've worked, and, if I get it, I could proudly say that, I'll accept that with both hands, but yeah, it's of the voters, it's I'm unfortunately not a voter, so yeah, but like Ollie said, it's Kyle Becker. It's a great player. Obviously, he won the championship, but yeah, MVP is most valuable player to their team. I felt like I made a big case to win that.
So you'd vote for yourself, Marco. You'd vote for yourself.
I would vote for myself.
Oh, we can't expect any other answer.
But it's
okay.
But yeah, I don't know. It's just like I said, I feel like at least if I don't win, it's, to me, it's winning is just a bonus. My teammates and my coaches and myself, I know what I'm worth to the team and to the coaching staff and myself. So we'll see what happens. It'd be nice to win though, that's for sure. Thanks, Ollie.
Yeah, there we go. I just wanted to put Ollie and Gareth
like
against
championships
you. That's
don't matter apparently. Like the most valuable player, what's the most valuable award in the Canadian Premier League is the North Star Shield. That's what I'd say.
But if Forge didn't win, would you have picked anyone other than Tristan?
Akeem Garcia. Oh, last year? Yeah, probably would have come from a player from Cavalry.
No chance.
So
Tristan would have won still. He was the best player in the league.
But he was also the leading goal scorer. There was a number of categories which he led in that year. And there was still an argument being made that Becker should have won it last year over Borges in some circles. Look, it's all subjective. Like we're discussing, we're debating very good players, elite level players in this league. And everyone has all three of you. Akeem Garcia should not be forgotten in this conversation. He wins the Golden Boot, the most goals in the tournament as well. He was excellent. So I don't want to exclude him from the conversation as well, but his team inevitably did not go on and win.
Yeah.
Before we start debating anything else from 2019, let's get back to the 2020 season for a little bit. And Marco, we'll go back to you first with this one. I'm curious, what are you going to remember the most about your time in the bubble, taking games and practices aside, but the actual bubble itself? I'm assuming that was an experience unlike anything you've ever had before. So what will you remember the most from your time in the Charlottetown bubble?
Wow. There's quite a bit. You can't forget the food that we had. That's something unforgettable. But I think on a good note that I won't forget would be probably all the downtime and spending it with your teammates, instead of being in your room and playing video games or just watching Netflix. We made it a big thing, everyone had their own conference room and like games room. So we made it a big thing for everyone to be down there and chat, actually get to know your teammates instead of just knowing them on the pitch. So that was a big plus for me. If I'd take anything away, it would be, just being able to get to know my teammates more on a personal level.
Mm-hmm. Oh, did we lose Adam?
Oh, no, I forgot how mics worked. Ollie, what about you?
Yeah, probably the same kind of thing. Like, so many people have asked me, like, what's the bubble like when I was there? And since I've got back, and I never have any good answer because there wasn't much to it, to be honest. You get up in the morning, you have breakfast at a set time, you do your work in the morning, you have lunch at a set time, you do your work in the afternoon, and then you have dinner and like have a bit of downtime afterwards. So it was a pretty kind of basic existence. But yeah, I think probably just having that amount of time in the bubble with the people who are in there, you certainly got to know at least a few people a lot better than you did before. And particularly with all the stuff that was going on in terms of what the players organized in terms of Black Lives Matter and things like that, you definitely got an opportunity to hear some perspectives and some stories and backgrounds of players that you wouldn't have normally heard, right? So that having that kind of constant exposure was certainly something, it was valuable to me for sure to get to know these guys a little bit better than I did going in.
Can I ask a question, Adam, to Marco? Because
I'll yield the mic. Sure.
I loved just everything that your head coach brought to the table in terms of Pamaduka's energy, his enthusiasm, just the thoughts, the conversation he brought to the table. And this is his first year as a head coach of this group. What was that like, Marco? Just a brand new head coach, taking over a team in such an unusual circumstance. And what did you learn about him over the course of that month?
What didn't we learn about him? He's right off the bat, he's a very caring guy. He's a guy that he's a family first guy, and he treats all of us like all of us like his sons. It's a privilege to work with him. Even when we played together, he kind of took me under his wing and helped me a lot. If it probably wasn't for him, I probably wouldn't have been at the Whitecaps as long as I was. he helped me a lot, and now coming together, seeing him as a coach, he really brings that captain like mentality. He knows he's leading our ship, and he wants everyone on board. And his way of saying it is, if you're not on board, then we'll bring someone else, and they'll gladly take your spot on the ship. So that's the mentality he brings. The organization, even just from training, it's so professional down to a T. Everyone comes in, works hard, and stay after training and do the little things, the details. He's all about that, and just the way how he gets everyone like wants to play for him. The motivation that he gives every player. Whether you're starting, not playing, not dressing, treats everyone the same, and that's the good character he has. And then just seeing him celebrate for a goal is, you just want to score just to see him celebrate. But it's just been a pleasure working with him, and hopefully we get to work together longer as well. And he's also learning lots too. He's always a guy that's open to learning, and I think it would be expected that Pacific will do better next season for sure.
We were going to get to this conversation a little bit later, but since we're here and you mentioned the goal celebrations, obviously Pa gave us some pretty good gifts on the sidelines. He gave Ollie one heck of an interview in that Edmonton game as well. But speaking about the goals celebrations in particular, what was that moment like? You score to go up 2-1 and you make an absolute beeline for the bench, almost shrugging off teammates. It was, I'm going to the coach right now and no one's going to get in my way. What was that moment like for you? Obviously you're still in the game, but in that split second of celebration, what was that like?
Yeah, honestly, it's just like, you score and sometimes you don't know what to feel. And that was like scoring my goal against Edmonton. Didn't really know what to feel. I just wanted everyone to celebrate with me almost. I felt like that was a turning point for the team in the moment. Obviously we fell short of the championship, but it was just a feeling that, you at least for me, in practice, I practice that shot every day, after training or on my own. Even in training, people say, "Oh, shoot to the goalie's left, down to the goalie's left." Sometimes, I say, "Why? If I'm in the game, I'm going to shoot, far post." Oh, well, you got to surprise the goalie. Well, I'll surprise him hitting it far post. If you put it there, he's not going to get it. So it's just, for me, it was just that shot I'd done thousands and thousands of times, and to see it come out in a game is very, a bit sentimental almost. And just the feeling, going to scoring and celebrating with your teammates, nothing better than that. And if you add your coach in there, it's even better.
You're gone again, Adam.
Yeah, Adam.
Are you kidding me, guys? What's going on here? I'm going to leave that. There's construction going on outside.
You're just looking too good in the vest. You're like, look at me in my fancy vest today.
Look at my haircut and everything.
I literally just got this done. I'm not going to touch the mute button. Sorry if you hear the saws going on outside. Okay, back to the show. Ollie, some important information coming from you next. There's been a lot of moves going on in the CPL, players coming in, rumored players going out, and confirmed information about players going out on loans and perhaps some permanent moves as well. Can you give us a quick recap of what's been a pretty crazy past 10 days or so?
Yeah, so, excuse me, we'll focus on Cavalry just because they were the big news yesterday, obviously. So Arab Pepple is going on trial with Sheffield United, as you guys will have seen by now. It could be a permanent move there if it all goes well. And Pepple has a lot of options, actually. There's been a ton of interest in him, apparently. And he has teams from the Premier League, from La Liga, from the Portuguese League, from the Bundesliga, who have all made contact with Cavalry about Arab Pepple. And if it doesn't work out with Sheffield United, I've been told that there is another Premier League club that would like to take a look at him as well. So pretty exciting stuff for him, and obviously an unbelievable opportunity to go to England. Another Cavalry player who I'm told nearly ended up in England as well is Dominic Zator. He was close to joining a championship team on loan with a view to a permanent move. That's one that could potentially be revisited in January. It just didn't work out in time, so keep an eye on that one. And Cavalry are quite busy themselves. I've been told that they're close to bringing in one of the better central midfielders at the Island Games from another CPL team. So that could be a bit of a intra-CPL blockbuster coming up potentially in the coming week or so.
Wheels, what do you make of all that?
I think the Sheffield United move is interesting. There's another Canadian eligible player who's within the youth setup with Sheffield United right now. His name is Daniel Jebison. So whether this is a priority, this is a market that they're looking more towards Canadian players. That's just interesting to me that there's now going to be two young, talented, attack-minded players that are both Canadian playing at Sheffield United. And was Zator, there's no doubt the player has quality. Whether it's Major League Soccer, whether it's the league championship, a move like that makes absolute sense for me right now. And I think that Zator, a player like him, is ready for that next challenge. So it'll be interesting to see if he does move on.
So Marco, in your case, when you're hearing of all these moves and just in communication with your family, with your representation in general, what's next for you? At the moment, do you expect to be back with Pacific in 2020 or 2021, and beyond that? What would you like the future to hold for Marco Bustos?
That's an interesting question because no one knows the future, right? So
Especially right now, that's fair.
Yeah. Right now, I'm a Pacific player. I'm a proud Pacific player. I've really enjoyed my time here. It's a top class organization that's only going to get better. So like I said, as of right now I'm a Pacific player, but I think this is the place to be if I'm able to push on somewhere else. I know the club sees me as a player that can play at the next level. The coaches and the owners, and also my representative. They're working hard behind the scenes to see what can happen. But I let them do their job and I just do my job. Just love to be on the field, enjoy, get better every day, and embrace the opportunity if something comes up. I'll just for right now, I'll just smile and keep working hard and see what happens. But like I said,
Marco,
just right now, Pacific player.
Marco, I know COVID's a little bit of a weird time, but don't you feel like there's much more opportunity now, even from a couple of years ago, for Canadian players? Like there's many different paths now that this platform's kind of afforded you and other players to go down and provide opportunity.
Oh, 100%. If we said 10 years ago we had this CPL, you would have seen, all these players that become homegrowns in MLS and played barely any minutes. I'm one. What if guys like that went straight into CPL and got the opportunity to play right off the bat? You could see there's so many players that I could name, and for example, like just right off the top of my head, there's me, Manu Aparicio, Kian Froze, Sam Adekubi. Guys that come straight out of homegrown didn't get the opportunity with the first teams, and then we have to find our feet, late or early on in our careers, when we could have already been established in a CPL team and then move from there. But I think now, around the world, people are respecting Canada more and more each day, respecting Canadian players, and then Canadian players are going out there and showing. You got Alfonso, who's obviously one of the top players in the world right now. Jonathan David, so many players. Junior Hoylett doing it for years now. Just I feel like the Canadian name is being represented well and will continue to get better.
That's a perfect segue into our next talking point, because we want to discuss Canadian soccer in 2021. Ollie, you put out a pretty impressive depth chart in terms of potential matches for each of the World Cup qualifying, Gold Cup, and Olympic qualifying, and hopefully Olympic rosters. And you had Marco slotted into the Gold Cup, I believe. So tell me about that process and why you think he'd be a good fit there.
Well, it's very early to do something like this, right? So we'll see what happens in the first half of next year, and that will obviously impact what the squads look like. But my basic thinking was, I think you're going to have, the squads mostly what we saw against the USA last year going into World Cup qualifying. That's the priority. They want to get to 2022 They could potentially have a pretty difficult tie against someone like Haiti to get through to the final round, and you have to take all your best players to that window. With that being the case, I don't think they're going to be able to call up the same players to the Gold Cup, just because clubs are going to push back. They don't want to have their players not have a summer break and then have their pre-seasons interrupted as well. So it's going to be one or the other, I think, for John Herdman in terms of which players he can call up, and that is going to open up a ton of opportunities, I think, at the Gold Cup. So I look at some veteran players who I think could still play a role. Guys like David Edgar, I think, could potentially be involved in that. And then you look at younger guys, the guys in their early to mid-20s who potentially have that ability to step up to the next level. And obviously Marco is an example of that as a top CPL player. So it could be interesting to see what kind of players, John Herdman looks at and thinks are maybe on the fringes of that program and could take an opportunity at the Gold Cup.
Marco, have you been in contact at all with Herdman or Canada Soccer in general? And could you shed any light about what 2021 might look for you with a maple leaf on your chest?
Yeah, I haven't heard from CSA in a while, but that's been my goal for the last 2 years. Was just I always go back to working hard, and when I get the opportunities to play and just show myself, express myself, and get my name back in that category, of those top 40, 50 players that they look at. That's my goal, to wear that Maple Leaf shirt again. It's been a while since my last call up, so just got to keep going, showing what I'm about, and just for 2021, like we said before, the future nobody knows, especially now. So you never know. You just keep working hard, and when I get the call, or if I get the call, just keep showing what I'm about, and hopefully I do that, because like I spoke with Pa and the owners here, one of my big goals coming into this season was actually being MVP of the tournament, or being MVP of the league that we were supposed to have, and getting a call up to the national team.
Mr. Gareth Wheeler, we'll give the last word to you on this discussion. You've been working the phones a lot. You've had some pretty good reporting on the Canadian soccer picture right now. Where do you see Marco potentially slotting in next year and in the near future?
Well, he and a group of other Canadian Premier League players are definitely on the monitoring list. I think that list extends beyond Ollie's, 64 you put out there. I think it goes to 80, 90. It goes that deep. These are the players that are right in the mix. And I think that a lot of it depends on whether Canada qualifies for the 2021 Olympics next year. If they do, I think that will open up even more opportunity for a Gold Cup side, or the Gold Cup team that's going to be picked. If they do not qualify for the Gold Cup, I think that you can expect a lot of young players being involved in that Gold Cup. I'm not sure if the Edgars of the world are part of that equation simply based upon age. I think it's all with eyes on 2026. Everything that this team does between now and 2026 is preparation for that tournament. That even includes qualifying for the 2022 World Cup. But there's a lot of good young wing players available that Marco's going to be in contention with. And Marco, I think, understands. He's been in the mix before. You've been in Herdman's 45 list. And I know he's talked to you in recent years. I mean, Corbianu's now coming to the mix. Buchanan's playing regularly with the New England Revolution. Brim, Schaffelberg, like there's a lot of wide players. So Marco's going to be right in that mix, along with a number of Canadian Premier League players. But I think a lot of it depends. And that's why Olympic qualifying is going to be such a big deal. And you're going to be able to watch it on OneSoccer, because how Canada fares in that tournament, there's going to be a trickle-down effect to every other team that's named over the course of 2021.
Yeah, just to add to that.
Sorry, Ollie.
Just to add to that as well. There's also an under-20 World Cup, or there's supposed to be, and 4 CONCACAF teams qualify for that, and that'll be the end of May, start of June, I think. So it could be an absolutely crazy summer in terms of the amount of tournaments and matches Canada are playing.
What better time to be Canadian?
What better time to be Canadian, and what better time to have a OneSoccer subscription, because we are your home for the Canadian Championship and everything to do with CONCACAF. Marco, thanks very much for your time today. Congratulations on the season, and best of luck as we head into 2021. We'll be keeping a close eye on you.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me, guys. Been a pleasure.
Thanks, Marco.
For Gareth and Ollie
MVP.
and everyone else at OneSoccer.
You're the MVP of the show, Marco.
MVP of the show, if nothing else. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel if you haven't already. Like the video while you're there. Thanks for tuning in. The Hangout will be back very soon.